All right, we're going to try this again live. Let's see if this works. I don't know. So we'll try, see what happens. What if live stream, does it affect if you have too many windows or browsers open? I do not know. I don't know. Maybe that's something I need to look at. No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. All right. Well, anyway, we got some people back on here. So what I was going to do, yeah. Okay, right on, Chris. I appreciate that. I don't know if it's me or if it's YouTube. I guess saying, hey Ed, I was watching Wrangler Star the other day while I was pressure washing my deck, and it was going back and forth a lot. And I don't know if that was his Wi-Fi connection, I don't know, but it was cutting out a lot. It was actually pretty frustrating. So, I stayed in there because I'm a big fan of Wrangler Star, and I don't catch him live very often. I think it's only the second time I did, so I was enjoying it, but I definitely wanted to make sure that right on, Tina. So I don't know. So is anyone? If you all don't mind, have you all had issues with other live things where it goes, kind of goes back and forth, cycles in and out on occasion? I don't know if it's me or if it's YouTube live stream. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I'd love to hear some comments if y'all have any. Because if it's me, I have to figure out something, that's for sure. And then I started thinking too, the thing with Wrangler Star was going back and forth in and out. Right on, Dave, is that initially I got a lot of windows open, a lot of browsers open. I said maybe that has something to do with the live stream, but then I was like, no, because I was on my phone listening to the guy's name's Cody from Wrangler Star, and that that kept going in and out. So it had nothing to do with how many windows I had open. It just had to do with the live stream. And I don't know if that was an issue because of my own connection. I don't know. I have Xfinity, so. I don't know. So anyway, we're back. Fantastic. Would y'all mind give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay? There's no, bad feedback. Right on, Rob. If you don't mind, just give me a thumbs up. All right, there's a thumbs up. Cool. I appreciate that for sure. All right. So loud and clear. Corey, you know about this stuff. So Corey, if you ever been on another live stream and does it go in and out on my end or on the broadcaster's end? Does that make sense? I don't know the answer to that, but I got a bunch of windows open up here, not windows, but browser tabs open. And I don't know if that has something to do with it's on my end. Yeah. Okay. So Rob says he's watching sailing. That's interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going forward and see what the YouTube demons want to do with us, or I guess the Xfinity. I got a nice Xfinity thing. I mean, we don't do direct TV or anything like that. I think it was you, Corey, telling me I need to get plugged right in the wall, and I just keep forgetting to do that, man. I try to get an Ethernet, whatever it's called, and I just, newer router. I don't know, I have a newer router. Yeah. I mean, I had a newer router from 2 years ago. You think a newer router would benefit, with a streaming thing? I don't know, but I can't figure out how to plug it directly in the wall. I got the Ethernet cord and all that. I can't get it done. All right, we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll look at YouTube and find some videos. All right, but if anyone has any suggestions on how to make it so it doesn't go back and forth. All right, so just real quick. So last Saturday, I did a thing on Saturday. I just wanted to do it kind of just off the cuff because I was bored. I don't think there's any hockey games on. Oh, Xfinity has upgraded recently. Okay. That's good to know, Tina. Because we pay them a lot of money. We have for a long time. But anyway, so I was bored, so I figured I'd jump on a Saturday evening. I like the Monday night thing, actually. So like I said, I'll be doing this on a regular Monday night, and I'll send out I'll send out an email. So if you're on my email list, you'll get noticed that I'm doing these on a regular Monday at 8:30 Eastern time every Monday. So mark your calendars. And then if something comes up or I'm bored, I can't wait for the Stanley Cup Finals. I enjoy doing these. So if there's something that jumps out at me, I'll probably do it on a different time too. But on Mondays, just mark your calendars for sure. Because I do plan on doing these on a regular basis. All right. So what I was saying before I got rudely interrupted is the St. Louis Fed. I think I threw it away. I was reading in one of my Journal for Financial Planning articles Yeah, I don't know where I got it. I must have thrown it away. That they're, just in despair about the personal savings rate going down. And I chuckle at that. So the issue that the St. Louis Fed was doing, and you all can't see this next Monday. Yeah, I am. It's next Monday, Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, I am, sir. I will take next Monday off. I promise you that. So I'm looking right now at the Federal Reserve personal savings rate, and it goes from like 11 to 12 all the way down to where we are today at 6.4. And everyone's despondent, say we're not saving enough. So I said, okay, what was the taxes we were paying into Social Security in 1960s? It's 3 to 3.125 to 3.65. So it's basically between 1960 and 1970 is between 3 and 4%. With nothing going into HI, which is the hospital insurance, until 1970, and even that was only 0.6. So by 1970, the total expenditures for you was 4.8% of your total income. 4.8 was total, of which 4.2 was for Social Security, 0.6 was for hospital insurance. And then your employer was also spending 6.9% as well. So you're paying what was that? You were paying 4.8, your employer was paying 6.9. All right, so now we fast forward until, scratch that. You were paying, the employer was paying, I can't figure this out. The employer was paying too? It's 6.4. Yeah, okay, there you go. So the total was 6.4%. That's what it is, of which you as an employee were paying 4.2% of that, if that makes sense. All right, so we fast forward until today. Now the personal savings rate is down to 6.4% as of October 2018, but it's 15.3 between you and your employer for Social Security. So back then it was in 1970, is 6.4% total, of which you were paying 4.4. Now it's 15.3% total, of which you're paying 7.65. Now 2.9 of that is due to Medicare, but still 12.4 is due to FICA. The whole thing about this personal savings rate not being of everyone not saving enough, I just sit there and say, I literally don't get why the smartest people in the business can't figure out, maybe they're not saving enough relative to the personal savings rate, which is the amount that you're putting away into liquid accounts. By the way, that doesn't include pension or what was the other thing? I can't remember. But anyway, the personal savings rate is the amount you're putting into your liquid accounts. I forgot. No, that wasn't pension. Net as a percentage of your total net income. So your personal savings rate is 6% right now. Oh my goodness, it's historically been 10. We're all going to die. Well, historically, the Social Security was 6, and now it's 15 with the FICA. So I don't get why these people don't get that, man. It's crazy, and these people have got to know this stuff. Like I'm reading all this despondent literature in the Journal for Financial Planning. I'm sitting there thinking, you guys keep harking back on this. You keep doing this as if people have no money. And the facts this is it's an apples to oranges comparison. It's a truly pet peeve of mine. I'll do a video on it tomorrow where I show you the differences. And it just, it frustrates me to no end. All right. And I'll do a video on it, but you're not only saving 6.2% like the naysayers wants to believe. You're saving 6.2 plus you're saving another 6.2 into your Social Security, plus your employer is saving another 6.2. So just your own personal savings rate is 6.2, but that's only 1/3 of the totality of what's being saved for retirement income. 6.2 to you, 6.2 to your employer, 6.2 to you for Social Security taxes. That's 18, whatever that is, 18.4, 18.6. I mean, that's just, if anyone were to say there and say, Josh, you're only saving 18.6 of your salary, you can't retire, you'd say that's nuts, man. But that's exactly what we're doing. If the average personal savings rate, according to St. Louis Federal Reserve Board, is 6.2%, and you're putting 6.2 and your employer's putting 6.2, you are saving 18.6% of your salary for retirement. It's nuts. And the only thing I see about that is that the fear, I hate to be so accusatory, but what else could it possibly be? Why else would these people just not know this? And these aren't stupid people. I don't get it. I literally sit there and say, I don't know. Anyway, so All right, I'm sorry about that. I just had to go on a rant. Are we able to add? Yeah, so my man Jack. Yeah, so okay. So the Right Capital software, which I've been using quite a bit lately with the Karen, and I defaulted to Karen, and I hadn't realized I'd used Karen as a name before. So if your name is Karen, I apologize for using your name twice. If your name is Tina, and I use Karen twice, it's not I have any affinity for anyone named Karen. I've never had a girlfriend named Karen, or any. I don't know any Karen. I mean, I know a couple Karens, but I don't have any that I've been like. Yeah, I don't have any affinity towards Karens over Susie or Tina or anything like that. It's just by default, frankly. But anyway, so Jack, yeah, so I charge $150 for complete access to the Right Capital software, and you do whatever you want with it. You won't break it. I don't do any personal tutelage for that. But I mean, I got a million videos on there, man, a million. And, and then I don't want to say it's intuitive. It's not as intuitive as I like. But anyway, so it's $150. You pay it one time, and I send you a PayPal thing, and then one of these days I got to find a new thing other than PayPal. I talked about that on Saturday, but anyway, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But anyway, and then you say $150, and you go crazy, do whatever you want. I have access to your info, but I got a bunch of people on there. So if I wanted to look at your info to say, hey, Jack, I know what's going on. I mean, I could. But literally, I have no time to do that. I have no time, no desire. But that would be a risk that you'd know that I would have access to your info. So just be advised. And then how long do you get it for? You get it for as long as I pay Right Capital, and they're always updating their stuff. And so because of that, and they have good client service too. It's not perfect. There are some issues in there. I don't, like I was doing the one on California state tax today. I don't think they're right on California taxes. I've noticed that a couple of times with some of the states, they seem a little bit off, and I'm not sure it's because it gets a little bit too detailed to run standard deductions for each of the states and whatnot. But we had Karen paying about $800 in California income taxes when $30,000 was her required minimum distributions and $30,000 from Social Security. That just seems kind of high to me. I remember running some numbers on California, and it wasn't anywhere near that. But be it as it may, I'm very fond of Right Capital. I think it's the best software out there. So send me a PayPal thing. Yeah, my man Jeff says it's addictive. And Jeff, I mean, this guy knows. That's what I'm saying, Jeff. That's why I do all these videos on it, because I love messing around with things. I just throw them on video, and some people say, stupid, but I love it, man. I think it's fun. Yeah, $150 is right, Corey. That's what I charge, $150. Right Capital, they charge. I pay them $200 a month, I think, or something like that. Maybe more. I got a professional license with Right Capital. Seems like I'm short on. Seems like I pay more than that. I can't remember how much I pay, but I pay them for the monthly thing. I think maybe it's $250 a month. I pay them something. I can't remember, but I pay them every month. And I imagine at some point they'll say you have a limited number of people you can have on there. They have never told me that. I don't know. So at some point they say you can't take on any more people until you clear off other people or something like that. And we'll cross that bridge at that point. But anyway, so Corey says $150. That's just what I charge. It's some random number I just created because initially I had given the software away to a couple people. And I just didn't like it. I said, nah, I'm taking up a lot of, I just didn't like it. So I said, nah, I'm not going to give it away because it's good software. It is. And that was back in probably May of last year. So I'm not doing that anymore. The paradox of thrift, explain what you mean, alumni quad. I'm not familiar with the paradox of thrift. So, so we will take next Monday off. Yes, that is true. Simply because that's game one of Stanley Cup Finals, and no way am I missing that. Especially, it's just gonna be a party here for sure. It's gonna be the last time the Bruins were in the Stanley Cup Finals against Chicago, 2013, I think. So my 11-year-old is 5, and now he's a big Bruins fan. So it's gonna be fun watching him. And I think my daughter will be back from Georgia. She's down at Georgia Tech this week. I think she'll be back from that. So we'll be partying the Scanlon house. Probably smoke some brisket. Yeah, paradox of thrift. Yep. So Leisure Hawk, 6.2 Social Security, 11% pension, 11% 403 key. Yeah. So my man Leisure 057. Leisure blank. I don't know where I got Hawk. He's saving And that's not just what you're saving with Social Security. Social Security, your employer is saving that too. My man Corey loves the right capital software. If the aggregate savings rate goes up, the economy grows proportionally slower from a standard of living perspective. It's as if the additional. Okay, so that sounds like an economic thought. And I've always wondered. So economics, they look at investment, savings, and I can't remember, but I just remember they always said for $1 of savings was as if you're putting it under a mattress. And I can't off top. It's been a long time since I've been economics class, but I just remember thinking that there's like three pillars of this: government spending, investment, and savings, or something like that. I forgot what it was. So consumer spending, government spending, investment. I can't remember. Anyway, and the idea was that if you're saving, that money is just it wasn't allowing for the velocity of money. And it's just odd to me. It's like, really? I mean, I never understood that. And the reason for that is because saving and investing, in my opinion, are synonymous. I guess what the economists were saying, if you're investing in a building, investing in a manufacturing machine or something like that. But I'm like, well, if I'm saving, it's not just going into some, underground bunker. It's going into something. And even at the bank, the bank's taking CD money and they're loaning it out. So I never understood that. So I don't believe that people saving inherently is a wet rag on the economic growth or consumer spending. I just don't. But I can be convinced otherwise. But if all my economics classes I've taken and all the stuff I read, I've yet to be convinced otherwise. It doesn't mean I frankly kind of bores me, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I don't know that to be true. And I'm not challenging anything, Alumni Quad, about your perspective. I just, All right. So my man Larry says he's retiring in 10 months. He'll be 55 years of age. Yeah. So So Larry says he's retiring in 10 months. He'll be 55 years of age when he retires. If I don't work from 55 to 62, will my Social Security be lower? Man, I got literally videos on that exact same thing. 55, what happens if I stop working? But just, think about it like this. Yeah, like my man Bruce. It depends, Bruce. So Bruce says the right answer is that if you have 35 years minimum, it should not be, because that's 100% right. They take your top 35 years and they basically index each of those for what's called inflator, what they inflate it based on the average wage index from historical government records. Won't get too much of that here, but just the money you made in 1992 is inflated at a certain rate relative to the money you make now. So that's the drawback by the Social Security statement, folks. For those of you who are new, the Social Security statement, I don't have my sample anymore. The Social Security statement doesn't inflate it in terms of your earnings from previous years. It's not inflated. So it looks, in my opinion, is depressing. You're like, dude, I only made $13,000 in 1992. There's no way my Social Security benefit is going to be much. But that 1992 money that you made was actually inflated at a certain amount of inflation amount, if that makes sense. So what happens is, let's say, you made $13,000 in 1992, equals 50,000 today. But let's say you're making 120,000 today. Well, that 120,000 you make today, if that's year 36 of your labor, would remove that 13,000 that you made in 1992, if that makes sense. And so what happens when you're 55 generally is in your peak earnings years. So a lot of times those peak earnings years are coming in and will replace your lower earnings years when you're younger. Not all the time, but a lot of times that'll be the case. So if you stop working now, the issue is, it probably will reduce your Social Security. But if you watch some of my videos on that, what you find is it ain't much, man. I mean, you're talking 20 or 30 bucks a month. And I even did one where the lady made, she doubled her salary from like 1960, when she's 60 to 70, she had made 50,000 adjusted for inflation each and every year for 35 years. And then I said, screw that. Let's have her working, making 100,000 for the next 10 years. So we're going to take the older 50,000, 10 of those years and get rid of them. And we're going to replace them with 10 years of $100,000, if that makes sense. And her benefit only went up like $200 a month or something. I think it's $500 a month is what it did. And so $500 a month sounds good. I mean, that's $500 a month, but $500 a month is only $6,000 a year. So she was working in that case, she worked an extra 10 years of labor, and each 40-hour work week is the equivalent of 2,080 hours. So in that case, for each year, she only made $6,000 more. So I simply, in simple terms, because I'm a simple guy, I took my trusted calculator. I said she made an extra $6,000 a year for 2,080 hours. That means her work was only worth $2.88 an hour. And I said, I don't think it's worth it for an extra $500 a month. And again, the likelihood of that happening is for her to make 35, to go from 50 to 100,000 for the next 10 years is pretty small. And so if you're only going from 50 to 60, you're not making an extra $500 a month. You might make an extra $100 a month for 12 months. That's $1,200 a year. Whoop-de-doo. And so the question is, you could be doing anything different than that and make an extra $100 a month. You could be getting on YouTube like some crazy guy here in North Georgia. You could you could do a million things you could do to make that extra $100 a month instead of saying some crappy old job. And so I think you got to think about the opportunity cost. If I stay working to get a couple extra $100 a month, what am I missing out on for some extra income I could build? Maybe growing vegetables like my man Bruce does, and maybe wants to sell them at the local farmers market in New York. I don't know, but I got a sore throat. But that's some of the stuff you got to worry about, think about it. But the issue is it's just not a huge amount. And the reason for that, just lastly here, and I'll get some more, is that I can't stress this enough. Social Security is a progressive, not taxation, way they pay you. So the first $926 of your income, they will replace 90% of that. The next $4,583, I think, something about $4,500 or so, they will replace 32% of that. The next anything above 5,500, they'll replace 15% of that. So the more you make, the less they replace. And that's a progressive nature of how you get paid for Social Security. So because that, the more earnings you make, the less valuable it truly is, because it's only going to be replaced at 32 or 15%. Hope that helps. Social Security will calculate that for you on the website. 100% agree. Bruins, Blues. I hope it's the Blues, man, because the Sharks still scare me. They laid an egg on Saturday yesterday, but they still scare me. Paradox of thrift is only applicable if savings is under your mattress. If you put it in the bank, it goes out in the economy. Save it, you invest it, and lend it directly. Yeah, I see. That's the whole thing with economics. I never understood the whole economic theory. Just some of that stuff is just silly, in my opinion. The savings, I know what they're looking for. They're looking for the velocity of money. How many times it changes hands and generates another extra. I get that, but unless it's taking out of the economy, it's even if it's called savings or investment, all does the same thing, which is to be used for other operations. I love money under the mattress. That's the safest money. Big A, what's your address? I want to send you a book. Okay. Paper money goes to the mattress or pillow, but gold and silver goes under. If my wife takes Social Security under spousal, that's it forever, other than the survivor benefit. So what's going to happen is, I'm not going to get too detailed here about what Social Security is going to do, but essentially they're going to give her the max of either her spousal benefit or your benefit, her own benefit, her own benefit. So whatever is more, all right? So if her spousal benefit, which is 50% of your PIA, is worth, once you file, if it's worth more than her own benefit, she will get that, yes, until you die, and then she'll get the survivor benefit. That's 100% correct. Lisa K in the house. Hey, Lisa. Remember you from Saturday. Thanks for coming on board twice. Mary, what's going on, Mary? And my man Bruce back on board. Do I think 3M has come to? I don't pay any attention, brother. I don't know. He asked if I thought 3M is coming to fair market value at 169. I literally have no clue at all. When I saw 3M, I thought you mean 3 million or 300,000. Then I realized what you're saying. So that's my my stock prowess. What happens in a career job is if you never hit the big time, you get sidelined between 50. Oh, what happens a lot is he's declarative sentence. Okay. In a career job is if you never hit the big time, you get sidelined between 50 and 55. You only see COLA in your salary. If that, I agree with that, Bob. Absolutely. If that. Met with Ed Jones today. He seemed pretty knowledgeable. They wanted 1% annual fee. I'm going to share you another article I'm going to do tomorrow. This is from, you all can't see this again, but I'm going to read the headline to you. The impact of expense ratios, and this is just expenses on retirement. Let's see. So my man Craig Israelson, who I've talked about before, he does a 712 portfolio, which I'm a huge fan of. I have to read the article tomorrow, but basically the issue is that if you reduce your expenses from 2 to 1%, all right, so your total expenses are reduced from 2 to 1, and you have $1 million portfolio, you could increase safely your income by $20,000 a year safely. And I haven't read the whole article on it yet. I read his executive summary. And I was going to read that tomorrow. But anyway, I just thought that was incredible. I mean, literally, so for every 1% you're paying some guy, it's costing you, in this case, for $1 million portfolio, $20,000 a year. For a $500,000 portfolio, it's costing you $10,000 a year. And here that makes sense. I mean, you think about it, $1 million portfolio, 1% fee, that's $10,000 a year. I mean, it's not rocket science, but when you think about it, like the way Craig was talking about, I just thought that was, you kind of put it, this whole thing with parables. Why do you think Jesus was so successful, other than being, the Son of God? Because he told things in stories. People say, "Oh, never thought about it like that, Jesus. Thanks." And that's what makes the whole storytelling parable approach so wonderful, which is one of the reasons I can't stand the financial advisor industry, because we get all puffed up in these monkey suits and all that. And then we just say declarative statements, this, that, the other, as if everyone's like, nah, that doesn't relate to me, man. I was watching some guy, he seemed like a nice guy. I mean, I won't say, he seemed like a good guy, but it's like just, repeating facts. And I was like, for me, it bores me. I know some people say, Josh, you're too long-winded, you talk. I get that. But for me, it bores me. Yeah, it bores me. I want no reason to pay 1.1 to Ed Jones. Obviously, they're pushing that now. I forgot who asked me this. P-Strat. They're making a huge mistake. They should be talking American funds in the front. Speaking of American funds, someone asked me this the other day. Ed Jones, if they want to differentiate themselves, man, they should just be freaking old-fashioned stockbrokers and say, look, I use American funds. If you got $500,000, we're going to put you in a diversified bucket of American funds at 2% front-end commission, and you'll never pay another fee other than what's called a 12B1 fee. Actually, going back to my man Dustin, he and I were griping to each other when I talked on Saturday or Friday, I can't remember, planning to go down there on May 30th. He says he sees a bunch of Ed Jones statements come across his desk, and this pisses me off. They got people in Oppenheimer. They got people in, I can't remember the other ones, American Funds, another company. And so if you have, let's say, $100,000, they'll put 33 into each fund company. And that way they avoid the break points. And what a break point means is if you have 25,000 or less, they'll charge you 5.5 or whatever it is front end commission. If you go to 25,000 or 50 is like 5, whatever. If it's 50 to 100 is like 4, whatever. I don't know, maybe 3.5. And so what happens is when they violate the break points, they're saying at the end of the day, we're going to get 5.5, where they just put you all in American funds. They could have got at 3. Does that make sense? And that's bullcrap. You're not supposed to do that. Everybody knows they're not supposed to do that. And Dustin says he sees that kind of crap on his desk all the time. Dustin, actually, I was stunned to hear this. Stunned. He told me he sees a lot of Primerica statements come across his desk. I said, man, those guys are still out there? Primerica? Freaking nuts, man. When I was a broker, I'd love to see Primerica and what's the other one? Primerica, and there's another fund, Thrivent. Thrivent's pretty good because they would get you, they're through church, so they had that affinity in a relationship with church, but they did a lot of financial planning, at least to ability to sell you products. It's Primerica. It wasn't Ed Jones. It's Primerica, some other, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. I can't remember. But anyways, Primerica and another fund, I blew them out of the water because their stuff was crap. Anyway, so Primerica is still out there, and Dust was telling me he's getting all kinds of Primerica statements across his desk. It's like, I thought they were done after the Great Recession. I can't believe they're still around. The problem with Primerica is that they, at least back in the day, they'd hire part-time people. The lady would be cutting hair, renting a seat to be a hairstylist, one day, and the next day she's doing financial planning. Next day she's a hairstylist. Next day she's doing financial planning. If you're a hairstylist, I'm not taking anything away from you. I got no problem with that. But who's policing that crap up? It's one thing to screw up somebody's hair. It's a whole nother thing to freaking give people bad advice because you just don't know the business. And I just spit on my camera here. Blech. I get too excited. That ticks me off. I'm like, wait a second. We're supposed to be real live professional people here. And you can't hire part-time people to do this. It's nuts. I had a lady from Primerica. This one was in banking come in and she said she was a financial planner. I said, okay, cool. And this is when I was working on my CFP. I said, who do you do financial planning with? And she said, Primerica. I said, okay. And I said, that's cool. I didn't know much about this by 2002. And she started asking me if it made sense to refinance a mortgage. And I said, I kind of thought you would know that, but I didn't say that to her. I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's run the numbers. And she goes, oh, man, this is great. I didn't know I could do this. I mean, I can save a lot of money. I said, if you're a financial planner, how would you not know that? All right. It was odd to me. And I would no way pay 1%. If I liked the Ed Jones guy, pretty knowledgeable, and I want to be with some stockbroker, I'd say, sell me it with the front end commissions, man. Don't charge that 1% fee. Sell me the front end commission. But some of the guys will say, but they're fiduciaries. And Ed Jones won't say that because they work for a broker dealer. So they can't say they're a fiduciary. But these other guys, but we're fiduciaries. Pretend this is an anvil. I hate that whole fiduciary thing. All right, so let's see here. If you like your job, says Tina, what is your logo there? I keep thinking it's the Chicago Cubs, but I can't. It's not. It's all right to keep working another 10 years. Yeah, I mean, hell, if you like your job, man, I'll go. That's why when I do this, I'm never tired. I can get on here and yap all day long. I love it. I'll never go away. I'll never get burnt out. I think about what I'm going to talk about all the time. I love it. Lisa says she worked for 10 years full time to keep paying his Social Security. I got my statement last week and it wasn't worth it. By the way, I've been paying since I was 15 years old. So Lisa's been paying for 1 year because she just turned 16. Just joking. But anyway, right on, man. I mean, I completely agree that the issue that a lot of people think with all this negative feedback about the personal savings rate, the Social Security and all this is that I better stay at work. Now, I do get a lot of pushback on this, and I agree with it. Staying at work isn't that you're just putting in Social Security. It does two other things. It allows you to three other things. Not have to pull retirement accounts out. Agree. Allows you to keep building up your 401k, and agree with that as well. All right. So you're not only are you not pulling up retirement accounts, you're pulling money into your 401k. So does that make sense? And you're not spending. You're just spending from disposable income as opposed to retirement accounts. I guess that's two things. But either way, so when you're not working, you no longer have this disposable income. You're no longer putting into the 401k. Instead, you're taking money out. When you're not working, when you are working, it's the exact opposite. So it's kind of like a pulley. But I agree with that too. I don't think they're mutually exclusive in terms of if you do one thing, you that inherently means you can't do the other. I don't know that to be true. I just think at the end of the day, leaving a crap little job or staying in your crap little job solely to build up a Social Security, it doesn't make sense. And if you're staying in your crap little job solely to build up your total financial net worth, I just simply ask, do you need to? I mean, that's what it comes down to. You might not need to. I mean, I've told stories a million times about people who are literally, sitting there commute to going to Los Angeles from whatever the other, 2 hours away from Los Angeles, killing themselves. So they moved to Missouri. They're living life, $150,000 home, paid cash money for it, no debt. A whole different ballgame. Larry says, keep jumping forward here. Oops. Okay. Larry, okay. I retire in 2 years at age 56. How do I feel about fixed index annuity with 9-year term? To protect 9-year term to protect 30% of IRA portfolio from inflation and market downturn. I frankly, I'm just not a fan. And the reason I'm not a fan is just because they usually don't have dividends in there, Larry. And if they don't have dividends and they're doing any kind of point to point or price to price, you're leaving out a significant part of your total returns. You just are. But we're protecting the downside. Well, hell, you might as well just buy CDs. I mean, that's the way I look at it. In fact, the CDs are a big part of my $2 retirement plan. So I'm just not a fan. Protect against inflation. They're not protecting against inflation and taxes. So if you're only getting 3 or 4%, inflation is just say 2. you're not making money hardly, and you're not making any money relative to what you could have done essentially in a basically a corporate bond fund that's a whole lot more liquid for sure. So I'm just not a fan. What is happening, says Wither Nick. Well, you see what's happening, my man. Congrats on your retirement, Larry. Yeah, right on, man. Haven't missed much, says Tina. Okay. Howdy, Clutch Carson. Right on, man. My waste of time, going to work 4 more years at my old crappy job, then retire and open a small business I wanted to open my entire life. But 4 more years, and I never have to make another penny. Tell us the business, brother. What kind of business you're doing and all that. Love to help promote it. Be fantastic. Love it. So good job, man. And just think about it. You work 4 more years with a goal of knowing after that you do whatever the hell you want. That's. My man Dan says, between my wife and me, we have about 300,000 traditional IRA. How much should I put in a Roth? Man, are you a regulator asking me so you can string me up? It completely depends on your tax bracket. So many things go into that, Dan. I just don't know. I would never, with just that little bit of information, I'd never be able to guesstimate how much you should put in a Roth. Is it worth it for a retired 62-year-old to convert from traditional to Roth? Says my man Chris. It is if you're married, absolutely. If you're retired and you're already in the 24% tax bracket, that means you got a big account there for sure. And if you're married, you're going to leave your beautiful with a freaking tax bomb that I wish someone would write a book about. Oh! Shameless plug! The tax bomb in your retirement. How the Roth IRA can help you avoid it by your old buddy Josh. I think I got almost 20 positive reviews on Amazon now, which is pretty cool. So if you want to give that a review, be my pleasure. But yeah, just if you got 24% tax bracket and you are retired, you're gonna have a huge tax hit in the future. I can see that a mile away. So yeah, if you're married, so I would absolutely do that. If I have pension, should I just use Roth and not use IRA? If you're, I don't know enough to even calculate on that. I don't know. The answer is probably, but I'm not sure about that because I don't know anything else about your situation there, Lauren. It's hard to say. I just spoke to my financial planner, and I have. All right. So Tina says a London tube sign. All right. My wife and 2 daughters get ready to go to London in about a month. I just spoke to my finance in Dublin. None of us have ever been to Ireland. So I'm looking forward to hearing how they see the old country. Where her dad's dad was from Galway. I think they're making a little trek down there too. I just spoke to my financial planner, and I have an IRA that we will convert to a Roth within the next year or so. Hey, fantastic. My man Bruce, my 457 is with Nationwide. They put me in ETFs that also have fees. Come to find out it was their ETFs. That's why I started learning about investing. Yeah. And Bruce also has gone over to my man Dustin over at Jazz Wealth. I get nothing from Dustin from recommending him. I just like the guy. I'll say this every single time. He doesn't pay me. I don't pay him. I just like him. And then I heard enough from people like Bruce that like Dustin. I think Corey too, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. A couple other guys. Every time you say fiduciary, I think of Dustin. I like him, but he does say fiduciary a lot. Does he? I have to tell him that I'm banging on fiduciaries because I just it's like these people say, I'm a CFP. I'm a certified financial planner. Like, who gives a crap? Actually, it's funny. I think I was doing a video or talking to somebody the other day, and I told my wife, said, yeah, I might even let my CFP lapse. My wife overheard that. And let's just put it this way. If I want to stay married to that lady, I'm just keeping my CFP. She remembers the day when we were poor as the day is long, man. And man, I'd be waking up like 4:30 in the morning because we had 2 youngins and to study for like an hour and a half before the kids, rolled out and had to change diapers, whatnot. And I've always been an early riser, but anyway, and I studied my butt off for 4 or 5 years on that, an hour a day. And then I remember one time I went to lunch with this guy, this old broker, as a matter of fact, a guy named George Rand. And I don't even know if he's alive anymore. I said, yeah, I'm not going to do it. Who cares? And he goes, dude, you're making a huge mistake. The CFP is the way of the future. I said, all right. So I went and did. I passed, and only by who knows how I passed, but I did. Long story short, that was back in 2004. I think it was 2004. And it's just funny because that was a struggle. Let's just put it that way. And if I did not have the CFP, I would not be where I am today. Is all there is to it. Not because the CFP is so proof of my prowess as a financial planner, but it got me my job at USAA. If I didn't have a CFP, I would not have a job at USAA, and I would not be here. So just kind of funny. All right. So Peace, if I'm in the 24% tax bracket with 6 years left before retirement, does it make more sense to put 401k company matches? Company matches is the same, right? Exactly. And I always go to the pre-tax. It really depends on if you're married. It's going to be the easiest thing in the world. If you're married, in my opinion, you should do the Roth without question, because you don't want to leave your surviving spouse with a tax bomb, what I call the widow's tax trap. It's nuts. It's nuts. If you're not married, I think it just really depends on your situation. I don't think it's that big of a deal if you're not married. If you are married, I'm doing the Roth. It's just no other way around that. I mean, get my book, man. I think it's $9.99 or something like that on Amazon. I can't remember. The book will tell you everything I think about it, and it's only 70 pages. What I do with it? So definitely get that book. I feel bad for people in a crappy old job. Well, that's yeah, right, Ray. If the Bruins win, this is the first time since like 1930s with Detroit, when the same city won the 3 of the 4. That was in 1930s before they had the NBA. So if the Bruins win the cup, it's the first time that the same city won 3 of the major championships. Crazy. For you all who aren't from the northern New England area, and you think, oh, you guys got so lucky. Well, even you youngsters who are from the Boston area, you don't understand what it's like growing up as a freaking Boston fan. Now, I never liked the Celtics. For some reason, I always liked the Lakers. I always did. And maybe I'm just a contrarian by heart. Everyone in Maine loved the Celtics. I couldn't stand the Celtics. But the friggin' Pats, Steve Grogan, Steve Nelson, John Hanna, all these guys, I mean, I remember a couple years, 2-14 back to back. And I think that's why they got Tony Eason, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was. But anyway, and of course the Red Sox, we all remember it happened in freaking 1977. Do you know who freaking popped up? If memory serves, Carl Yastrzemski was bottom of the ninth. They're only down by a run because Bucky Dent hit that home run. And I think he had a guy on second or maybe even on third, maybe second and third. And yes, it wasn't like some freaking schmuck like I forgot their second baseman. I hate to say schmuck. It wasn't like some, no name. That Freddie something was their second baseman. Forgot his name. It's Yaz. And he popped up to end the game at Fenway. And then the Yankees went on to, win the World Series in 77, 78. And then never mind 86. It's just, yeah. And then, of course, the Pats, it's just, they got smoked by the Bears. They got smoked by the Packers. Yeah, it's just crazy. And, the Bruins went to the Stanley Cup in 1988. Again in 1990, and then it wasn't close. They got smoked both times. They didn't do anything until 2011 when they won it again. When they won it for the first time since that I've been paying. I mean, I think they won in 72. So I was 2 years old back then. I didn't know anything about hockey at 2. So I mean, it's nuts how insane Boston sports has been over the last 20 decades or 20 years. But before that, it was. Free trust at financial planning ministry. All you have to do is donate minimal amount to a nonprofit, charity, or church. What do you mean free trust? They'll set you up with a living trust. You got to explain more on that, Dan. A financial planning ministry. All you have to do is donate minimal amount. Redlands, California. What's up, man? Can you clarify the barbell approach? Is cash play go in taxable account or stay in the Roth? Well, I don't want you to take any money out of the Roth, so I don't want the cash plate to be in the Roth. No way, no how. I want that. I want that Roth to grow as much as I possibly can, without question, without touching it. Now, at the end of the day, if all you got is a Roth, and if that's ideal, frankly, then of course. But if you have a traditional and you have a Roth, I want the Roth to be as unencumbered from your distributions, Rob, as much as possible, without question. Very few people, all they will have is Roth. Very few people. So if you have the taxable, i.e. the traditional IRA, because you're going to pay tax on it, and then you have your Roth, you'd want the taxable to be the plate, if that makes sense. That's a pretty good question. I might need to get back on the whiteboard and do some more on that. Staying in, it keeps jumping on me, driving me crazy. Staying in a crappy old job until 65 and eating too much barbecue gets you where I am right now. Sitting on a living room couch one week after heart surgery. Eesh. That's my man Steve Brooks of heart valve replacement, aneurysm repair. Well, thank God you're still with us, big man. That's scary stuff right there, Steve. Aneurysm repair. That sounds like you were close to calling it a day. Ooh, so blessings to you, brother. After retiring, is worth to convert 457 to Roth. I mean, I'm just going to say this to everybody. Look, I don't mind answering these questions. The answer is yes. It's absolutely worth it. It's mostly worth it if you are married, filing jointly. And we'll see what I got to do here. Let me break out my. I'm making a big old mess. All right, so I'm gonna break up my whiteboard. Here's the difference between, see, that's the one thing about having this camera right there, or that light right there. 22 or 12 is what you're going to be in, most likely, when you're married filing jointly. 22 is what your spouse is going to be in when you die. And so that inherently means there is going to be a 60% increase in your taxable income at your death. No one recognizes that. Everyone says, well, I'm in a 22% tax bracket now. I'll be in a 12% tax bracket in the future. Well, that's true if you're married, but if someone's going to die, and when that person dies, and you're leaving your surviving spouse with a big amount of IRA money for which she will have to take mandatory distributions out. Those mandatory distributions are 100% taxed as ordinary income. And what does that do to her Social Security? Well, it makes her Social Security be more subject to taxation. It doesn't take much for a single taxpayer to have increasing premiums on Medicare Part B and Part D either, by the way. I mean, but I think it's $75,000 of modified adjusted gross income, maybe $78,000 this year. I can't remember. Let's just say $80,000. I don't care. $80,000 of MAGI, modified adjusted gross income. But I got tax exempt bonds. They're tax free. The hell they are. They're not tax free when it comes to the Medicare premiums you got to pay or the tax you got to pay on Social Security. They're not. And so this is where we're all ass backwards. We're sitting there thinking, I'm in a 12% tax bracket now. I'll continue to be a tax bracket, 12% for as long as I'm alive. And I say, yeah, well, how about when you're dead? That's where the issue comes. And again, your shameless plug. Oops. What did I do with my book, man? That's not it. Okay, I must have thrown it on the ground. I have my book, but shameless plug for my book. This is weird. Here's my other book, by the way. You can buy that on Amazon too, or Kindle. But anyway, that's the issues. I mean, I talk all about this, the widow's tax trap. I lay it down for you, where you see exactly what happens. It's nuts. And then I show you two examples. I wish. Hold on a second. Oh, here it is. So I give an example on my book where this lady. Let's see. Yeah. How one widow. I don't know if y'all can see that. How one widow paid something in taxes and the other one paid nothing, almost $10,000 in taxes on the same amount of income. And so what happened in this regard is one widow took a $20,000 distribution in order to take a cruise with her daughter. The other widow did too, took a $20,000 distribution, take a cruise with her daughter. But the other widow did it from a Roth IRA. The first widow did it from a taxable IRA. And that $20,000 increased her taxes by almost $9,000 or more than almost $10,000. And the reason for that is it increased her taxes on her Social Security, increased her taxes on Medicare premiums, increased her taxes on qualified dividends, long-term capital gains, the whole thing. Because the tax code is not favorable for the single people. I'm the marriage penalty, all that. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying at the end of the day, the facts are, if you're married filing jointly, it takes you $38,000 before you're in the 12% tax bracket, 12% tax bracket. If you're a single taxpayer, it takes $19,000 before you're in the 22%. I can't remember what it is. It's in there someplace. But if you're married filing jointly, You're not in the 22% tax bracket until you have about 105,000 of gross income. And the 22% tax bracket is where things start getting bad. And just remember, the jump from 12 to 22 is a 60% increase. And that's just on the income tax. Never mind all the other stuff that goes with it. So the default is you should always think you should convert until you're proven otherwise. And a lot of times, if you're single, it might not make sense. Really, it might not. But the default would be I should convert unless I can be convinced otherwise, if that makes sense. My man Ross, I worked in Bermuda in the late 80s, found out today Bermuda will give me a pension when I'm 65. Whoa, jeez. That's what I'm talking about. Imagine getting a letter and you're like, whoa, that's fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. Roth contributions have to be earned income. Yeah, that's right, Bob. They got to be earned income. Or 1099. So it's a W-2 or 1099. Absolutely. It's not from dividends or pensions or anything like that. Phil, take Social Security at 62, then suspend at 70, pay back zero interest. Crazy. They don't do that anymore. I can't remember. There's off the top of my head, I can't remember the rule. There's something about they don't give you an interest-free loan anymore. I know that for a fact. I can't remember the whole. I think you suspend it, take Social Security at 62. I can't remember the whole thing. I just know for a fact there was before 2015. You could do all kinds of stuff like that where you take an interest-free loan, to gather up for 8 years and pay it back or something like that. They don't do that anymore. But you have to dive into that a little bit more. It's not. They allow it. I think you can't. I can't remember the whole thing, but I would definitely do some research on that. Please share. Oops, Lisa says, please share how the trip goes. We're going October to Ireland. Right on. Well, I'm not going, Lisa. No way. I love the US of A. Will never see me leaving this country. Of course, they don't want me there anyway. But she's excited to go. My oldest daughter at Tech has been doing some research on our family lore. Pretty interesting stuff. Your old buddy Josh's granddad's dad emigrated here from Austria and was a miner in California, and then somehow in Bisbee, Arizona. That's what it was. It was a miner in Bisbee, Arizona, and was drafted during World War I because he could speak German. And this is just my daughter researching this. It's crazy. I never knew this. And it's nuts. And I said, I wonder how much discrimination he faced, given that he was, German, he could speak the language. But he's in some tiny little town that's in like Slovenia or something like that. That's a German speaking. The whole thing is crazy. You start going down that rabbit hole, it's just as interesting as all can be. So anyway, that's a stable value fund at 3%. Yep, I'd take that in a heartbeat, Ryan, without question. I got no qualm with that at all. It's kind of like the C or the G fund of the TSP, by the way. Yep, I would be on that like white on right. Andre Tippett, yes, number 56. I remember that. Bruins won in 70 72, and I guess was it 70 against the Blues or 72? I forgot. But Bobby Orr. 40 single, work from home and thinking of buying first home in Atlanta. All right. Thoughts on, should I go super cheap? $100,000. Where can you get that? Or higher, say 250 and house hack. Yeah. I don't know, man. I guess it depends on cash flow. I think house hack, where you're living in the house, that's until you decide to sell it. I'm not sure. But I follow Graham. I just watched the video today on how he got this house for free in California. I like Graham. He's entertaining, as well as I think most of the stuff's pretty good. Big real estate guy. Graham's a small guy. He went up to Canada, was interviewing this guy up in Canada. I didn't realize Graham's so small. It's crazy. The guy might be huge, and Graham might not be that small, but. Let's see. I don't know the answer to that. That's a tough one there, my man. I just don't know. I don't know. I decided to move to TSP from 100. Yeah, we talked about this on Saturday. Right on, my man. Hurricanes fan, not Carolina Hurricanes, but Miami. G Fund. Figure I'd take a little bit more risk. I have plenty of time. 100% G Fund to 26%, 2030 fund. 40% G Fund to do. Hey man, nothing wrong with that. Slow and steady wins. 24% tax bracket, 6.5% Wisconsin. Ugh. 7.2% FICA. When I retired to Florida, 10% tax bracket, no FICA, no state. Sorry, no brainer to do pre-tax now. Yeah, I completely, Ed, I would not argue with that in the least. Not in the least. Indonesia. That's nuts. Indonesian here. Right on, man. That's, I mean, the idea that all you guys are here listening to me yap is freaking, it's insane. I love it. I just literally could be, I mean, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's wonderful. I'm stunned. Financial Planning Ministry, EMA at fpm.org will organize a living trust for just a donation of charity when you terminate trust. I don't know, man. That seems odd to me. All right. So I'm not, I don't know. When you terminate the trust, do you have to have another trust? I don't get that. I believe Bob was actually questioning Roth. I forgot what Bob's question was, Corey. You got Phil. So retired at 38.7 Marathon Jointly, you take 401k withdrawals and only pay 12% Fed tax. Then spouse tax passes. Then you will take withdrawals at yes, exactly right, Jay Snyder. That's one you're hitting on the head, man. That's 100% correct. It's freaking. That's why I call it the widow's tax trap. Now, a lot of people think, well, I'm married, I'm a qualifying widower. No, you're not. Not unless you have young kids. The tax code is nuts in this regard because it looks like qualifying widower, you can still file for 2 years after the date of death of your spouse. You can't. It's unless you have kids. If you don't have kids, you're filing single the very next year. So the day your husband dies, let's say I die right now, Charlotte can file married filing jointly until the end of this year. She will be a qualifying widower for the next 2 years because she has all these little tax credits running around here. Well, not little anymore. Trust me, with her attitudes, they ain't little. But anyway, so at the end of the day, but she's still going to be single. And let's just say the kids are out of the house. I thought I was qualifying widower. No, you're not. You're freaking a single taxpayer. And you're going to get hammered. $38,000 for a single taxpayer is 22%, or $38,000 for a married filing jointly is 12. It's literally that simple. It's nuts. And then all the other stuff, the residual that goes with it, the Medicare premiums, the qualified dividends, the taxes on your Social Security. It's and then the double tax, crazy. No, I really was asking about, Bob, contributions. I know. Okay. Yeah. Contributions. Right. Yeah. Bob, contributions got to be, you're right. Yeah. You got to be earned income. Lithonia. Oh, brother. And Ilkin or lady, ma'am. All right. Georgia's booming. And so if you could buy a house for $100,000 in Lithonia, I don't know anything about Lithonia. I don't even know where it's at. But if you could buy that for $100,000, that's tough to beat. And the reason I say that because it's like that guy Graham was talking about today in LA. You can't find anything there for less than $1 million. Well, all that stuff is gradually, the money's cheaper, and the money's cheaper in Georgia. I mean, who can afford $1 million in Los Angeles? Who would want to? But I mean, Georgia's booming it because it's tax friendly. It's a moderate climb. I mean, I think you said from Florida. So, you're already dealing with humidity. Hell, I mean, you got access to the beautiful Alabama beaches, access to beautiful Florida beaches. You get access to Universal City. You got Atlanta. It's a great place to live. Too humid for me, so I won't retire here. The humidity kills me. But anyway, it's hard to imagine a $100,000 home in whatever Lithonia is. I mean, I've heard about it, just not familiar with it. Would not be a decent investment many years from now, just in my opinion. Conversely, $250,000 in Georgia, it's hard to imagine that not being a good as well. The drawback there, though, I think it's Jade. Yeah, Jade. Is that if that 250 is in a school district that is middling and is starting to go down, you could easily see the values of those homes falling to some degree, or at least not appreciating. Or at least in Lithonia, I have no idea about schools, but if Lithonia, you're only paying $100,000. So regardless of what the schools are there, you're not going to be tied to the schools. I tell you, having gone through being a homeowner with homes and kids, schools drive everything. It's nuts. I hate it, but it's a fact. I mean, it's a fact. Schools drive everything. If the schools are good and then they're bad, the prices are going to fall accordingly, without question. It's too bad. House hack, in-law suite or basement build out would say, okay, yeah. and Graham is fine right now. Renting out a room or two. Yep. I've got time to think about the house stuff. We'll see how it goes. Just want to pay it off by 50. Yeah, right on, man. Is that a ministry in the USA? I forgot the guy's name who said that, or another country. The ministry, the Living Trust Ministry. Yeah, is that USA? That just seems weird to me. Appreciate all your expertise. Well, thanks, Rebecca. I can't tell you how much less stress I had in my life after created my retirement spreadsheet 5 years ago. So I know and I enjoy learning about how to plan for tax retirements. Right on. Yeah, I'm breaking up. I know. It looks like I'm back on now, thankfully. Do I got more stuff down? Okay, here we go. Linda, hey, what's up, Linda? Is 200,000 in retirement a good number to have when retiring? I'm married, power saving. I'm 59. I have about 116 right now, trying to max my Roth. All right, so and you're married. So I'm going to do a video tomorrow. Ms. Tweety. All right, so we got she may or he. I'm saying I assume it's a she. She has 120,000 in her 401k. She's 47 years old, so that's not you, Linda. She has $30,000 expenses and makes about $50,000 a year. And she wants to work for another probably 15 years or so. So some similarities to you, actually a lot of similarities to you. She's a little bit younger than you with about the same amount of money. The question will come down to, Linda, is how much does it take to live on? Now, Ms. Tweety here, presumably, and again, I don't know her. It's be interesting to do. She's single. The difference between you, because you're married and she is single, is that you're going to get not one, but two Social Security incomes. And if you play it right, one of those incomes will be a survivor benefit at the death, presumably, of your husband. I know this sounds crass, but it's true, man. I mean, my goodness, I'm going to die for my wife. And when I do, is it still going out? Yeah, Dave, is it still going out? It seems like it's back okay now, no? Yeah, right on. My waist down. So when I die, my wife will get. Okay. When I die, my wife is going to get my survivor benefit because I'm going to take Social Security at 70. So I can, I think is valuable for me to do while I'm alive, but certainly more valuable to do for her when I die. And that same thing could happen for you. So it really depends on your income. And if you don't know the income, then we don't really know what we're saving for. So you got to know the income. And that's where it gets tough, because how do you know? You never retired before. You don't know. But my man here, my waste of time, California would be tough. I don't know that. My aunt lives in California. She didn't have a pot to pee in. I mean, she's on Social Security, and she lives in California, and she's in Whittier, and she's getting by. I mean, she's not living large, but she doesn't need to live large. Arkansas, Kansas. I'm actually going to do another video tomorrow too. I got all these. If you all could see my thing up here, that talk about where $1 million lasts for the longest state by state. Is actually pretty interesting. So if you had $1 million and you're taking 40,000, I forgot what they say, the average income from retirement. You'll see the video. It's going to be pretty cool. And like my man says, California and Hawaii they don't last long. $1 million doesn't last long in those two places. Now, these guys got $1 million. They're using the average expenditures, not even including Social Security. So if you don't have $1 million, don't sweat it. It's just an interesting thing. They're saying, look, if you're using the average expenditures of a retiree at 65 and it's using your cost of living adjustment for that state you're living in, Hawaii is doggone expensive. California is doggone expensive. Arkansas is not doggone expensive, all right? And you're not including Social Security. How long will your $1 million last? It's interesting. It's entertaining, actually. I'll do that video tomorrow. Single 24, tax bracket 54, great health, 25 in taxable account, or 2,500 or 250,000 taxable account now. Looking at Roth ladder after retirement. How much can I convert and break even with taxes? Man, I don't know, man. That's just got to run those numbers, man. Run those numbers. I mean, that's why I have the software, the right capital. It'll do all that for you for sure. Getting laid off at 61, receiving nice severance time for a change. I'm happy as hell. Like your attitude about getting out of a crappy little job. Going to have a great summer. Hey, right on, man. That's Whittier's a nice place. Yeah, it's a lot of our family goes back to California. My dad was born in New York City. And but they all, other than us, we lived up in Maine, and all the other folks lived in California. And for me, being a kid from Maine who even have a TV or anything, and then going seeing the pictures they sent of how tan and blonde and the pool, and my one uncle had a pool, and I was like, man, California, it's like heaven. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I want to move there. I always love California. Not anymore. Go into retirement, no debt, you'll be just fine. Man, I couldn't, Monty, that's literally at the end of the day, this goes back to you, Linda. If you have no debt, you're going to be fine without question. Hoping that happens to me when I'm 61. I can't imagine the stress of retirement with tons of debt. No, man, that's not a good place to be. Thoughts on dividend appreciation versus S&P 500 or total stock in the Roth? I have a pension, so not too worried about risk. Yeah, the fall is always a total stock market index, Chris. But if you're going to have a Roth, you want your dividend stocks in the Roth without question. So if I presumably have other things like a TSP or some other kind of traditional account, that would be where you have your total stock market index or extended market index or something like that. Something that's a little bit more. You want your dividend stuff in the Roth. That's what it comes down to, because at the end of the day, the dividends are growing, adding to your stocks, and you have to touch them. Just let the dividends work as wonders. But I think in this case, it just depends on how much you have in total and IRAs, TSP, Roth, and then taxable accounts. And then you just got to kind of play them successfully with asset location. How much should I put here, and how much should I put there, and how much should I put there from a tax perspective? The drawback with a pension, frankly, is that it does limit some of the ability to do some tax planning. There's no other way around that. Investment feels like a nightmare where you're trapped in a dark castle full of fee vampires. Yeah, well, you got to stay away from them, man. Stay away from them, that's for sure, because they only want what's best for you, for them. There's no other way around that. Even if you are, a fiduciary with a CFP, they still got to make a living. I got no qualm with that. I had some folks on the YouTube channel a few months back. Some of y'all might remember this. Is that I said, go out there and look on the NAPFA, National Association of Personal Financial Advisors websites in your neck of the woods, and just pick up five people who have websites through NAPFA. How many of them stayed their fees? And the answer was like less than 5%. And I think we looked, when all said and done, like around 100 different advisors. And NAPFA is is the purest of the pure, because they don't do any commission-based stuff. And even so, these guys are the righteous ones, and they didn't have their fees. Now a couple did. And one guy, oh man, he was in Texas. It's like, dude, why are you not staying in your fees? Because his fees were the differentiator between he and all these other people out there that he's competing against. It was nuts. Doug, I'm a big fan of Jazz Wells. I mean, I like him. I can't guarantee nothing. I don't know anything about. I like Dustin. I like Jazz Wells, and I'm all for that for sure. Fees reasonable. $100 on the first $20,000, and I think it's after that I don't remember, but I know when it gets above 250, it's 0.49, and you can't beat that. And then you get to service. I find that to be a breath of fresh air, and his fees are stated front and center on his website, which I love. And then my man Corey said, yeah, he moved his to Dustin a few months back, and his wife just last week. Yeah, and Corey, if not mistaken, Dustin is offering his own software now too. He was using the Right Capital stuff. He still might be, but I think he was rolling out his own. He's paying to get his own software done. I'm not sure if he's got that done up yet. When I talked to him, I forgot to ask, but that's good. That's good. All right, my friends, anything else going on out there? Appreciate you hanging in there. We had some issues with the streaming here, and I think that's, again, on my end. I'm not sure. Well, it doesn't happen that much. It used to happen a lot. Yeah. You might want to talk to him. He's going to roll out some software at some point. I can't remember when. I'm probably putting words in his mouth, but it seems like I had something else I want to say. Oh, just real quick, unfunded trust. Actually, it's a good thing. Just I had a guy back in New Jersey, and I've shared this story a couple times before. And I'm just going to share it till I'm blue in the face, because this guy was asking about trust. I had a guy up in New Jersey who thought he had his money in a trust, which was going to save him taxes from estate taxes. And I'm just telling you, folks, if your trust is not funded, that means your trust does not own anything. It doesn't mean crap. It's not worth the paper it's written on. You've got to get an asset in the trust. All right. So you have to have it retail. We'll just use Corey. So here's Corey Grimm. Corey Grimm's taxable investment account. That has nothing to do with his trust. Corey Grimm could have a living trust over here, but until the trust owns the taxable investment account, it doesn't mean crap. All these people say, I got a trust. I say, okay, what's in it? They're like, huh? It's nuts. If you have an attorney who's talking to you about a trust and he draws you up a trust, and he's not being funded, it's not being funded, that's just the wrong answer. And it's easy to fund a trust. Real estate's a pain, but to fund an investment account, it's not a big deal. You just call up Vanguard, call up Dustin and say, I want to put this into my living trust. They'll need to see the trust document, usually the first and last page, sometimes the second page too, because they're going to need to see who the co-trustee is and the successor trustee. They need to see that. So they need to see the name of the trust, the trustees, the successor trustees, and then the last page, the signature page. They need to see all that. Usually first, second, last page. That's it. And then you say, okay, and then use as a new account number. No big deal. It's not a taxable event to move your Corey Grimm investment account to Corey Grimm's living trust. I cannot stress how many times I've seen this happen, and it's nuts. Going back to this guy in New Jersey, it was even worse than what I'm telling you here, because actually what he had was his dad, or his wife's dad, I can't remember, but I think his wife's dad lived in New Jersey, and New Jersey had a horrible estate tax at that point. Horrible. And it's gone now because Chris Christie and the Democratic legislatures got together. Oh, there's actually some good bipartisan legislation coming down the pike on increasing RMDs to 75. I meant to talk about that, and I forgot to do it today. I'll do that tomorrow because I'm getting tired. But anyway, so the wife thought her dad had assets in a irrevocable trust, which meant it would not be part of her dad's estate. Does that make sense? A revocable living trust, the assets are in your estate. Life insurance, if you own it, it's in your estate. I had some guy debating with me that the other day. He said, I'm telling you, man, it's in your estate. Look it up. Just tell me, look it up. Now, if you live in Florida, that might not be a big issue, or Georgia, or many of the states that don't have a state estate tax, it might not be a big issue because there is no estate tax. And basically for the feds, it's non-starter now because it's like $22 million if you're married filing jointly. Man, be it as it may. But the living trust will be included in your estate at death. This is factual. This is not debatable. An irrevocable trust will not be included in your estate at death. There are some states they don't let you do deathbed gifts to irrevocable trusts and whatnot. But for the time being, if it's not in your name, and an irrevocable trust is not in your name, and we know that because you have literally granted assets as a grantor to a trust, which presumably you have no control over. If you're not the trustee, you're not the beneficiary, most likely you shouldn't be, of an irrevocable trust. I'll leave that to you and your estate attorney to decide what to do there. But the facts are, if you want it out of your estate, you should really not get benefit of it. That's generally how it works, how the IRS looks at it. So this guy had what the dad of the woman now had because he was not good. He was not long for this world, and she was kind of frantic because he had a sizable estate. So this guy had what she had thought was an irrevocable trust, which meant it would not be subject to estate tax from the feds or the state of New Jersey because out of the estate. I remember sitting there home. I said, can I see the trust? And blah, blah, blah. I had to find it because it's always, sitting on some freaking dashboard someplace drawing dust. You get the trust document. On the very first page, it says this trust can be revoked by the grantor at any time. All right, so we're saying we have an irrevocable trust, but the trust document, the very first page, says it can be revoked by the grantor. The grantor is the dad. Who's the trustees? Co-trustees, the dad and the daughter, who I'm talking to, is this guy in New Jersey, the wife of this guy in New Jersey, and he's the one who called me in, and I was talking to her, and we got to talk about the dad. And long story short, I'm like, that's nuts, man. And so we get on the horn with the attorney and we say, hey, and I'm not an attorney. I'm just like, dude, this looks like it's a revocable trust, and it can be revoked because it says it can be revoked by the grantor. Am I wrong? Oh no, we've been meaning to change that. The issue here is the dad was in the hospital, almost like in hospice. And I'm sitting there thinking, this could have been a friggin' nightmare estate tax. In New Jersey, it was only $675,000 exemption. I think back then, I think the feds was $3 million, and they had more than that, a sizable estate. The issue here is when you're going down the roads of financial planners, like financial advisors, it is fraught with ignorance out there. And that doesn't mean stupidity or racist or anything. No, ignorance means they don't know. And that's a challenge, because how would you know how to look at the trust? I don't know. That's why I do like YouTube, because there are people out there on YouTube, and I tell there's a couple of estate planning attorneys out there I like a lot. I would suggest that when you're looking at your life insurance, you're looking at your estate docs, that you read or watch some YouTube videos of life insurance people, estate planning people, not to buy their products necessarily, but just to get a gauge of the learning that you need to make sure that your stuff is squared away. Because I'm telling you right now, if this dude would have died, the estate would have been, the tax on the estate would have been monstrous, because like I said, they had a well over $3 million liquid net worth, never mind the properties that they own. And on top of that, there's only 675, the exemption in New Jersey. It was just nuts. And that's bad. All right. So the moral of the story, understand you got to take some, and by being here and watching Graham and other people on YouTube, and who's the other guys I like, the Minority Mindset guy, I think is Jas Beat. I'm a big fan of that guy. My man, Dustin. Not a whole lot of life insurance guys. Off the top of my head that come to mind. There was one guy I liked. Oh man, I can't remember his name. I linked to a video he did. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. A couple of estate planning attorneys, I've linked to videos that they have done. But you just got to know your stuff, man. And how you know it is you watch YouTube videos, you ask questions, you hop on live streams like this. And I'm just telling you, it's important, because right now estate tax is not a big issue. Depending on if you live in Massachusetts, it is. Oregon, it is. But income tax is a big issue, which is why I wrote my books on that, because income tax is the burden now. But you got to keep just following what's going on, and never assume that what was 10 years ago, the knowledge that is still is true today, because the tax law changed. All right. So let me just see if we wind up here with any other questions. We got Doug. Looking forward to my interview with my wife just made sure I understood that I got to wake her up early. Dustin. Yeah, so Jay Steiner, if you can do it, spend 401k as verified jointly, so maybe get 12%. That's right, 100%. If you can do it, spend 401k money as married filing jointly, so you get a 12% federal tax. Then you pass your spouse, use a Roth with no taxes. Yes, that's a person after my heart, Jay Snyder 303. Right on. It's 303. Is that Colorado? Yeah, right. Hawaii is 808, if I'm not mistaken. You got it. Aside from the low fees, he educates, endorses, doing yourself, and yeah, right on. That's about my man, Dustin. Monthly, we're in East Texas. Garland here. Garland, East Texas. Right on. And then Corey, out of curiosity, is your router centrally located? Do you have a Longview? Cat 5 cable? I thought it was like one of those yellow Ethernet cables, Corey. Yeah. Is it going back and forth again? That annoys me. All right. Well, I'm getting tired, so I'm going to log off here anyway. A Cat 5 cable. My router is literally right under my desk. I mean, it's literally right there. Maybe it's old. I mean, I just bought it. Like I said, 2 years ago, I got a new router, but I don't know. Maybe I'll call Comcast and see how we can get this adjusted. All right. See you guys later. Go Bruins. Right on, man. Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it. See you, man.